parts for our girls for secondary school. My Period, My Pride. The story of Ife. Na sanitary pad media campaign power up with support from MacArthur Foundation
and Radio Now 95.3 FM.
Coming to you
every Saturday at 10 a.m.
Watch out.
Every Saturday on Radio Now 95.3 FM, listen and win awesome prizes on the My Period, My Pride radio drama giveaway. You could be the lucky winner for the week. To participate, simply listen to My Period, My Pride radio drama every Saturday at 10 a.m. and stand a chance to win by answering the questions correctly. Send your correct answers to our WhatsApp number 0809 682 2595. That is 0809 682 2595 with the hashtag My Period, My Pride. Be the winner on My Period, My Pride radio drama giveaway. Again, it's Saturday 10 a.m. on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
Babes, now how much be sanitary pad for your area?
Omo, na play we been dey play before.
Everybody wey dey this place wey be human being, na pad dey buy take do period. She go bring her wrapper, cut all her wrapper wey she get, they use dey do period. Which kind of nonsense be this?
Ijoma, see what you are saying to your fellow woman who is in need. Ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ti pọ̀ jù.
Na so they use clothes now. Abi we no go chop first.
Auntie Ijoma, what did my mommy ever do to you? It's not fair.
Now if a story be this, My Period, My Pride radio drama season 1. Na sanitary pad media campaign power up with support from MacArthur Foundation
and Radio Now 95.3 FM every Saturday at 10 a.m.
In order to keep up with our culture of excellence and continue to bring you the very best of radio programming, we invite you, our dear esteemed listener, to share your concerns with us on any of our content and or broadcast practices that you consider unsatisfactory. You can reach us via WhatsApp on 0809 682 2595. That is 0809 682 2595. This is for us to get your feedback on our efforts to continue to build and maintain our relationship with you and also to serve you better. Thank you for choosing Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
News and information go around every second. The ones who deliver it and how matter. We give you depth, substance from the real sources.
I made statements in that regard, and the first point I called was the National Working Committee.
There wasn't any agreement between Bashir Machina and Ahmad Lawan.
The DPO, the Divisional Police Officer who is on ground there, went there.
Also giving you a more human angle on the events that matter.
They are not people that live in mansions, but they are people that live in the localities, and the people are afraid to
There's so many issues there in area boys. Then we now went to...
Let's cut the convention and rather have a conversation. Radio Now 95.3 FM, Lagos. We go beyond the news.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations. Good morning. This is your daily security watch on Now Breakfast.
Security Watch this morning in Now Breakfast. Soldiers have arrested 3 suspected bandits informants who were on an errand at a checkpoint a few meters away from Kagarko Town, headquarters of Kagarko local government area of Kaduna State. A resident of Kagarko, Muazu Abdullahi, told news reporters yesterday that the suspects were arrested on Monday around 6 p.m. He said that the suspects later confessed during interrogation amid beatings that they were sent on an errand by bandits to buy cannabis, drugs and liquor for them. Meanwhile, the abductors of 19 residents, including 3 children of a pastor in Kudiri village in the area, have asked families and relations of the victims to raise 800,000 naira each before they will be set free. There was no response from the spokesman of the Kaduna State Police Command on the arrest. Still on security watch this morning. 3 people were killed Tuesday night when terrorists attacked Kaura Namoda town in Zamfara State. Those killed, were Garzali Kaura Naima and Halifa Dun Toho, a secondary school pupil. The police authorities didn't release a statement on the attack, but Mustafa Jafaru, the senior special assistant on police affairs to the governor, confirmed the attack. A resident also in Kaura, Abdul Malik Mohammed, said the attackers drove into the town around 9 p.m. and went to the Kofa Zermi. That's Security Watch this morning on Radio Now 95.3 FM, Lagos. Conversations continue today in the news. Good morning.
Good morning. This is your daily security watch on Now Breakfast. This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
This is Now Breakfast.
The news that matters the most is the news that hits closest to home. If it touches your business, your family, your city, your schools, or your safety, we've got you covered. Everything that affects you is our concern. So, we go beyond, getting all the facts and serving you news and information you can trust.
There was 10 million liters of fuel made available at some point, which was not made available at the time because obviously it had to be brought in.
The attack this Gayo village, Keru, and the Takalafia villages today is one of the many attacks.
Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Beyond the news.
We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
You're listening to Now Breakfast. From the north to the south, real people.
So like I said to you, it's some serious elements of the outgoing issue of my party whose tenure elapsed, who are pleading with me to endorse an illegal extension, and I refuse to be a part of any illegality.
Real stories every morning.
Most of the IDP, they stay in schools, and once they move in schools, when there is a disaster, the school in that area is automatically shut down.
This is Today in the News on Now Breakfast.
Today in the news, a police officer identified as Inspector Jacob Daniel has been killed during a clash involving military and police personnel in the headquarters of Adamawa State Police Command. SP Suleiman Yahya Nguroje, police public relations officer, confirmed the incident. He didn't give details but said that the state's commissioner of police had ordered an investigation to get a better understanding of what happened there. With regards to the incident, we're joined by a journalist based in Adamawa State, Phineas Padio. Mr. Padio, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good morning. I can hear loud and clear.
All right then. Give us a sense of what led to the seeming chaos in that part of the country.
Yes, like you introduced, Tuesday night, dovetailing into Wednesday morning, there was a clash between operatives of the Nigerian police and the Nigerian army. It started at a junction known as Target Junction, where some military officers were set to have arrived at the police checkpoint, and they had some altercation with the police. And according to police sources, one of the military officers attempted to disarm a police inspector, and then the police inspector, known as Inspector Abubakar, fired him, on his foot. And then the 3 other guys left the scene, and all of a sudden, military guys mobilized and were to attack, the particular division where Inspector Abubakar is from, because as at the time they had the incident, there was a divisional van parked there and properly marked as Jamaica Division. And so because of the proximity of Jamaica Division to a maximum security prison around the area, I think the military guys were advised not to strike at the Jamaica Division, because if it is spilled into the prison, and should prisoners escape, most likely the brigade commander might be held, accountable. And I guess from there they decided to shift base, and so they moved to the police headquarters, where they launched an attack on the police headquarters. However, I personally spoke with the brigade commander, who categorically told me no, that they were on a rescue mission, that police shot one of their own and kidnapped him as well, and so they went to rescue him, and then the police people at the headquarters opened fire on them, and they returned fire. And that's exactly what happened. We were told, like you said, Inspector Jacob Daniel was right there at the gate of the police headquarters, and then later, in the evening, the governor of the state waded into the matter. Around 9 p.m. in the night, we were at Government House. Both parties were around, all security services, the Air Force Commander, the Civil Defense Commander, Police Commissioner, and the Brigade Commander were all, and the DSS Director were all around at the meeting. And later, the governor briefed the press, service commanders, where he gave an update that there were 2 deaths, actually, one on the side of the police, one on the side of the military. So as it stands, 2 people confirmed dead, 1 policeman, 1 a soldier. This is, up to what happened in Adamawa yesterday.
Yeah, earlier you spoke about one disarming the other. What led to that to start with?
Well, like I said, normally within the state capital here, a ban on the use of the tricycle, the commercial tricycle, popularly known within parlance in Nigeria as keke. Normally once it is 9 p.m., there's a ban on the use of that particular vehicle, because some hoodlums and miscreants have been using it to dispossess, people of their personal belongings and take off. And so because of that, it was agreed, and the governor imposed a ban on the use of that particular vehicle once it is 9 p.m. And so I think around 10 p.m. on the day it happened, these military guys were made to understand they recently passed out from depot, came around with the vehicle and got to that particular police checkpoint, and then they were stopped. I think they got into altercation, and so this military guys wanted to prove, hey, we are military guys, and not just, and so they got into argument with them, I think, and maybe insults on both sides, and then the soldier moved to, disarm the policeman, and then he fired into the foot.
Now, let me, I mean, with what you've said, it could leave room for certain speculations with regards to the relationship between both security agencies in the state, talking about the military and the police. How's it been? Is that the case, or is this just a one-off?
Well, I can say without mincing words that the interagency rivalry, particularly between the police and the military, is strong, as it is virtually everywhere. According to police sources, when the military guys came to the police headquarters, they were using very heavy equipment. In fact, some told us they came with anti-aircraft, equipment, and one would wonder how and why would you use anti-aircraft, on the police headquarters, and even some of the shells I personally picked on the ground and used in my story, they were confirmed to be anti-aircraft, ammunition shells. And so the bottom line is some police would tell you that they were firing and targeting a particular hall where they normally used to have security meetings between service commanders. And that would mean that, okay, who was the target in this matter? So it appears like it was not just the incident that happened at Target Junction. It could be something that beyond that, that it could be pent-up anger. There could be several other things, that are underneath that have not been unraveled yet. I recall also when the governor addressed press last night, I personally asked a question because the commanders were looking gloomy. Their faces were looking gloomy. I asked, you said you've resolved everything, but their faces are not looking good enough. At that time, there was a kind of a cracking of joke, and then the commander smiled a little bit, but it looks like there were several other things that have not been resolved.
Okay, now, as far as this particular type of conflict that happened is concerned, have there been previous ones in recent years or recent time?
Yeah, in recent years, there have been clashes between the police and the military. One happened at the Central Bank, entrance. It dates back to 2-3 years ago. Another one happened very close to that area where some military guys moved to attack the police barracks, but they were repelled. So this kind of clashes have happened quite often, around here. The most recent one was not actually between the military and the police. It was the civil defense officers and the police officers. Something similar. So, but we understand only one life was lost back then. So this kind of clashes between the police and the military in particular has happened quite often around here.
Right. Okay, thank you very much for joining us this morning on the conversation, Mr. Padio. Thank you indeed.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm glad.
Right.
Thanks for having me.
Phineas Padio is a journalist based in Adamawa State, and he's given us some very good detail with regards to the clash that happened between members of the police and the military in the state. More conversations coming up.
This is Now Breakfast.
We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
The news that matters the most is the news that hits closest to home. If it touches your business, your family, your city, your schools, or your safety, we've got you covered. Everything that affects you is our concern. So, we go beyond, getting all the facts and serving you news and information you can trust.
There was 10 million liters of fuel made available at some point, which was not made available at the time because obviously it had to be brought in.
The attack this Gayo village, Keru, and the Takalafia villages today is one of the many attacks.
Radio Now, 95.3 FM Lagos. Beyond the news.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
In order to keep up with our culture of excellence and continue to bring you the very best of radio programming, we invite you, our dear esteemed listener, to share your concerns with us on any of our content and or broadcast practices that you consider unsatisfactory. You can reach us via WhatsApp on 0809 682 2595. That is 0809 682 2595. This is for us to get your feedback on our efforts to continue to build and maintain our relationship with you and also to serve you better. Thank you for choosing Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
You're listening to Now Breakfast.
Nigeria and Germany have signed a gas supply memorandum of understanding. Both countries also signed an MOU for renewable power projects worth $500 million. Now, this is not the first time that the two countries are signing a trade agreement, as there is still an existing agreement between the two countries for an electricity project. the team lead at Platforms Africa and an energy sector analyst, Deola Yusuf, joins us to examine this particular agreement. Good morning, Mr. Yusuf. Thank you for joining us. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be on the program.
All right, then. First of all, let's start with your view or your reaction with regards to this memorandum of understanding, this particular deal.
Okay, like you said in your intro, it is not the first time Nigeria is having a deal around the energy sector with Germany. And a critical look at those deals show that it's a win-win, it has been a win-win situation for both countries. Germany is going to benefit from the Nigerian gas resources, through transportation of our gas to Germany. And Nigeria is going to benefit from, aside from the technical know-how, from huge investment into Nigerian renewable energy, into Nigeria, electricity, into Nigeria gas, sector. So, like I said, it's a win-win situation, and particularly because the gas Nigeria is planning to transport to Germany is a part of the gas that Nigeria has been flaring. For our viewers to understand me properly, a lot of people that have been around the Niger Delta, you will see that in most of the oil and gas, assets, you see the flame of, you see some flames, burning on top of the assets, majority of the oil facilities. And what that means is that the gas that they don't need in those oil assets are being burned into the atmosphere. Number one, it contributes environmental pollution to Nigeria. Number two is a huge amount of money that is going up in flames. So what Nigeria is planning to do now is to harness those gas that they are flaring into the air and transport such, to Germany. So if you look at it critically, you still see that it's a win-win situation, just like I alluded to earlier, for both countries. And it's so joyous, even that signing that happened, yesterday happened why superintended by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and he's sending a signal to the president that he should make sure that the fight against gas flaring is sustained, and if that is sustained, all those companies that are flaring the gas will be able to make sure that they turn the gas that they are flaring into dollars for Nigeria.
What does it mean for our energy sector?
Okay, just like I said earlier, it means more investment for the energy sector, number one. And what I will say by that is that $500 million in an economy like Nigeria that is facing, dollar scarcity is not a child's play. It's going to ensure that Nigeria, the Naira is strengthened. The problem with Nigerian Naira is that a lot of Nigerian products, that we use in Nigeria, are dollar-sourced products. We use dollars to get those products, and in as much as you don't have those dollars available, you need to go and mop up your Naira and go and exchange it for dollars to get those assets. So now that we're having dollars coming into Nigeria through the energy sector, it's going to mean more investment in the energy sector. That's number one. Number two, it is going to help the sector, what I call it's going to help the trust deficit in the sector. A quick explanation about why companies flare gas. Originally, majority of those assets we have in Nigeria are assets where oil companies go into exploration to look for oil. And the way God has positioned oil and gas is that those oil are trapped in the crust, in the ground. They are trapped with gas. The simple example is the cola that we all drink. You could see that before immediately you open the bottle of that cola, you are going to see some gas escaping. So the way God did trap those oil is that after putting the oil below, he puts the gas to trap those oil anytime they now want to explore for oil, what they they are going to come encounter with first will be the gas. So because they don't need gas, it's the oil that they need. What they will just do is to burn that gas into the atmosphere. So after burning the gas, just like we usually do, you open your cola, the bottle of cola, you allow the gas to escape, then you go and deal with the liquid that you need. So that has been the practice. But in the course of doing that, they have caused a lot of things. Nigeria, apart from the money that they are burning, Nigerian money that they are burning, and I even highlighted the environmental impact that this has. Aside from all this, Nigeria is suffering terribly to the length that for years we have been, through our law, imposing sanctions. Although some oil and gas experts to call it terrible and ridiculous sanctions, at some point the money they are asking these oil companies to pay as a fine for flaring the gas is a peanut. So they prefer to even flare the gas publicly and pay the money. You understand? Nigeria is losing on both sides. The amount we are fining them is ridiculous, and the gas that they are flaring is millions of dollars. So for the oil sector, it's going to be beneficial. Right. And you could see that all the deals have to do with the oil sector. Right. $500 million renewable, will lessen the burden on the oil sector. Right. Houses that they will be using renewable will rely less on diesel or PMS, which we all know as petrol, to power their generators. Cars, that will use renewable will rely less on the petrol or diesel, to power or to fuel the car. So invariably, it's still going to affect the oil sector, and I tell you, it's going to be a positive effect on the oil sector.
All right, thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning, Mr. Yusuf. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Mr. Adeola Yusuf is the team lead at Platforms Africa, and he is also an energy sector analyst. He's joined us to give his thoughts on the Memorandum of Understanding signed, the gas supply Memorandum of Understanding signed by Nigeria and Germany. It's still Now Breakfast here on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Up next is our newsmaker, and of course Nabila Usman had a conversation with Nasir Dantata, the CEO of Dantata and Seway Construction. Do stay close, that conversation comes up very shortly.
We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
The Financial Services Regulation and Coordinating Committee (FSRCC) and the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) don join body to warn everybody of the plenty wahala wey the illegal financial operators (IFOs) dey cause every day, wey dey spoil and scatterbalance the trust wey public people get on top anything wey concern money for obodo Nigeria. Dem dey advise us to stop to dey follow and do business with financial money operators wey no get license. Abeg, confirm the license of those kind company on top these websites dem: www.cbn.gov.ng, www.nicom.gov.ng, www.pencom.gov.ng, www.sec.gov.ng. To report any fake financial people or money scam wey you suspect, call 0700-225-5226, 0800-225-5226 or +234-817-665-6273. Announcer, FSRCC. The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee (FSRCC), in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC), wishes to draw the attention of the public to the activities of illegal financial operators (IFOs), which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The general public is hereby advised to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Verify the licensing status of such schemes on these websites: www.cbn.gov.ng, www.nicom.gov.ng, www.pencom.gov.ng, www.sec.gov.ng. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call 0700-225-5226, 0800-225-5226 or +234-817-665-6273. Announcer, FSRCC.
We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
This is Now Breakfast
we turn our sights to the Ministry of Works. Many have described Nigeria's roads as incomplete projects, death traps, poorly maintained, and insufficient. According to the Infrastructure Concession and Regulatory Commission, about 67% of Nigeria's 200,000 kilometer road network is untarred and in deplorable condition. And for context, that 67% is about 135,000 kilometers. The current administration has floated solutions such as creative funding mechanisms, including accessing capital markets and public-private partnership. David Umahi, the former governor of Ebonyi State, is the current Minister of Works. He's saddled with the responsibility of implementing these plans over the next few years. Our newsmaker this morning is Nasiru Dantata, Executive Director of Dantata & Soy Construction Company Nigeria Limited. He joins us this morning to discuss the landscape, the lay of the land, and possible solutions to the problems ahead. Good morning, Mr. Dantata.
Good morning, Avila.
Welcome to the show. I want to start off with, in many ways, we know what the problem is. We've just talked about 135,000 kilometers of road that need proper attention. So maybe the real question is why we've been unable to get a handle on the situation. What have the challenges been for Nigeria in being able to provide workable roads that are long-lasting?
Well, thank you very much. I think the issue of the current condition of roads has to do with the general infrastructural approach to Nigeria. The roads are not excluded from all other types of infrastructures. I think we started very well in the past. However, due to many factors, we have slumped into accepting construction that is substandard and that we know will not last. Nigeria's economy has been growing, and a lot of it relies on the roads, especially the transport of goods. I have been to many parts of Nigeria, and like you rightly said, the roads are just not good enough for our economy and for our desire. It has more to do. I think we should focus more on what can we do rather than what has happened, because what has happened to Nigeria roads is just what has happened to Nigeria. We have just accepted bad constructions and that will not last, and the current administration, especially the Minister of Works, is trying to address that head on.
And we will come to some of the solutions that he started, because he's been quite busy since his appointment moving around the country. And I hear you when you say that we should focus on the solutions. Although, I mean, in many ways, if we're going to focus on solutions, we need to understand the problems, right? And you've just laid out some of it for us. I'm curious. I've heard certain conversations around. So you talked about substandard quality roads, right? And I don't know if that is simply about our approach to the construction of these roads, or is it the materials that we've been using, and what happened between the time when you pointed out and said, oh, we started off well? What happened from then to where we've been over the last few years, where suddenly roads are not lasting, at the very least, if it's asphalt, the surface, we're talking at the very least 20 years before maintenance comes along, right? I'm not certain if I'm correct there. You know the technicalities involved. So speak to us about that. What exactly transpired in the in-betweens?
So to construct a road, first you have to start with the design. And the road, you can, in a layman's language, you can pretty much define it in two parts. You have the foundation of the road. So that is anything you see below the surface. And then you have the pavement, which is the surface. There's a lot of discussions about the pavement, but actually the strength of the road starts with the foundation. And in many cases, the design of the roads concentrate more on the pavement, on what you see. But what is below is, at the end of the day, buried, not seen. So many contractors, many road owners, the clients, may not pay as much attention to it. So for us to have good roads, number one is we have to survey the entire road and pretty much sample all the soil along the route, understand the texture, and then look at how we want to use the road, what kind of traffic will be on such a road. Once you do that, the engineers have the mechanisms. This is nothing new. It has been developed for hundreds of years. There are some cases where you need to remove the soil, put some harder material like lump stones and so on. Some areas you can even put sand. Some areas you mix sand and cement. Some areas you have laterite easily available, you can use. There are many materials that can be used. Nigeria has abundance of materials in all regions that we don't need to import materials for the road construction, especially the foundation of the road. When you come to the pavement as well, there are also mechanisms for design. We don't need to redo it. It's already there. There are softwares you can use. Some people can also use their experience in designing. So once you have a good design, then the issue is to get a good contractor that is able to understand and make the processes right. The next thing is the process. How do you do it? The kind of equipment you use, the percent of cement in concrete or the percent of bitumen in asphalt. All those things count. The agencies, federal and state, have the engineers to supervise to ensure that everything is done right. It's not all the roads in Nigeria that are bad. There are so many roads that have been constructed for many years, I can say over 15, 20 years, and that are quite okay, and they are good. So we know how to do the roads. It's just that we have not done it across the board, just like in other industries as well.
So one of the things that typically comes up in conversations around road construction is the matter of contractors, and you hear this not just from conversations in the public space, but you also hear this from government officials. The current Minister of Works has issued a directive to contractors telling them to go back to site and carry on with their projects. And every time you mention contractors, you also mention funding. There is typically we've issued out this tranche of the funding. In some cases it is, the contractors made off with the money and didn't do the work. In other cases it is, the government did not give us the money as expected, and now we have issues around fluctuation in the exchange rate or supply chain issues, whatever the case may be. These are typically what defines contractors and the public perception. Speak to us about some of the challenges that they typically face, and then, from the government side, when government accuses contractors of not actually adhering to whatever it is that was agreed upon.
Okay, thank you very much. Regarding the minister's directive, to my understanding, and as a Nigerian, I really appreciate what he has said and what he has done, is that we should just not accept some certain things. As a country, we need some basic road infrastructure. Number one is that the access should be free. Anywhere, whether there is a contractor on the road or not, at least trucks and passenger vehicles should be able to pass, even if it is with hardship. The instances where there will be a total breakdown of a road is not acceptable, and many of the contractors that we have been discussing with are also interested in this, because we are also part of the people that are moving goods up and down. So that is one. Number two is that each contract is different. The minister has made I believe hundreds of contracts that have been issued. Some will be at least over 10 years old. So we are not even talking about the immediate past administration. And if you look at the complications as regards inflation, the pricing, and also going back to what I discussed about the design, many contracts have been issued without the complete assessment and the design of the road. So as a contractor moves to site, the first thing that I normally notice is that the design may not be fit to purpose. And also the Ministry of Works is not working in isolation with the rest of the government. You have the Bureau of Procurement, Public Procurement, you have the National Assembly, and many other agencies of government that have different roles to play. So if we look at the complications around each contract, you cannot make a general statement. But what the minister has said and what he has done is that contractors should at least go back to sites, let Nigerians feel some relief while he sits in the office later on after his national assessment to now sort out each contract and each contractor. Contractors cannot dictate to government or to client the type of road that will be built or how it will be built. Of course, we can suggest, and also our expertise is normally encouraged with the ministry officials and so on. But the ministry is taking charge of how these things will be done. The minister has said, and I believe is with his discussions with the government, especially with Mr. President, that he is going to sort out the funding issue. He's going to get more resources towards road construction. And I think we, as a contractor, or let's say a group of contractors, are happy about it, because the more we can understand the government's pain in raising capital to put into roads, the more we can also streamline our operations so that we'll be working throughout the year. To start a project and stop because of funding also makes it more expensive in the future. So it's a discussion that has just started. In many cases, the minister's words have been taken out of context. I don't want to blame the media. They may not be aware. You know, the minister is an engineer, and sometimes he will visit sites. He will be talking some technical issues, but the media at times will take it and blow it up and make it a national issue, while the minister was likely talking about a specific point or talking about a specific contractor or a specific contract. So we need to take a step back, understand the minister's focus, and I believe it will be good for Nigeria at the end of the day.
I want to come to something the minister has been championing that has also received, well, attention. It depends on which side you fall on and how you would describe that attention. And that's a matter of using concrete, right? So essentially using concrete in building our road networks and the matter of continuous reinforcement, right? And he has championed some of the positives of using this approach. Cheaper than asphalt. He says it will last between 50 to 60 years, and if we adopt this model thoroughly, it won't even affect the amount that's been billed for existing roads. I believe the previous administration has left what is about 14 trillion naira worth of road projects, right? So he's touting this as, oh, it's the best for us. But just a week ago or so, the House of Representatives, they passed a motion to compel the ministry to put a halt in its plans because they're concerned that there hasn't been an in-depth research and analysis into reverting or choosing concrete over asphalt. Let's talk about the technicalities, breaking it in a way that we can understand. From your experience, just speaking to what the minister has suggested.
Okay, I think the minister's suggestion is that he wants to make a mark on the Nigerian infrastructural landscape. Number one is that the minister is interested to do good roads and good roads only. The minister's words regarding the pavement, the concrete pavement, have been amplified. However, he has also, within his visits to contracts and on his daily monitoring, because I am aware that the minister is monitoring many ongoing constructions on a daily basis, he is also worried about the foundation of the roads. In terms of the if you look at some of the roads we are fixing today, these are roads that the government has invested in maybe 10 or 15 years ago, and the way we are constructing them today, we will also expect to do the same. So the minister is saying that he is interested to take the main highways and turn them into good concrete roads that will last that many years. If you look at, if you take the asphalt construction, you can as well design an asphalt road that will last for so many years. However, that asphalt road will be more expensive than the concrete road. So when you take the type of number of years that the minister is talking about, you have to look at the long term or the cost of the project. Let's say within this 40-year period, then the concrete road becomes attractive. I believe the National Assembly is worried because they have made promises to their constituents about projects, and they are worried that maybe the change may have some delay impact on those projects. But sometimes change has to come with some sacrifice. Number one is for Nigerians to understand that the minister is just mainly saying he is not going to accept substandard construction. And if that is the case, and he has said he will also work together with his principal, Mr. President, to raise more money to be able to afford a project or a road that will last for 40 years, so that Nigeria, the upcoming or the next administrations will not have to look at those roads again. They will look at other projects. I think this is a welcome development that we should be happy with.
So I'm actually I want us to move away from federal attention for just a moment. When we speak about roads generally, we talk about the federal government very critically, but I'm aware, and even I fall in this category, that in many times we're not certain when we look at a road that this road belongs to the federal government, or this one belongs to states, or this one belongs to local government. And I think if I take you back to 2003, when the Federal Ministry of Works put out essentially the detailing, the federal government is only in charge of about 17% of roads in the country. Then the state governments come in with about 16%, and then the largest bulk is actually under local government purview. I just, for the sake of Nigerians, if you can speak to us around how we've been unable to focus the attention in the right places, and what really the challenges are across the board, whether this administration's federal approach will trickle down to the other levels of government.
Well, if you look at the federal government as a senior of the three, definitely it will have an effect. Number one is that the engineering body in Nigeria is one. The same, the contractors that work for federal are also in charge of some of the other state roads. Those that work with state, some are doing also for local government, although local governments in the recent past have not been able to actually participate more on road construction. The federal government's roads mainly carry more traffic. Mainly they are the interstate roads. Let's say Lagos, Ibadan, you speak about Kano, Maiduguri, Abuja, Kano, such types of roads. So they are expected, of course, to be bigger. They are expected to have a bigger pavement. So they are designed to carry more load. While you have the state roads that are going between one local government to the other, or within the main state capitals and the towns. Then you have the local government roads, and some of the local government roads actually don't even need to be paved. There are some instances, if you are just making a road for a farmer, you can just have a good laterite road and sometimes just a surface dressed road. You don't have to put asphalt on it. The traffic is not much. So you can have a state road, let's say within some major cities, that will even have to be better than some federal roads because of the traffic they carry. Some of the roads in the metropolitan areas of Port Harcourt, within Lagos, within Kano, for example, they have traffic almost 24/7. And those roads need to be designed as strong as possible. Once the federal government is moving to good construction, I believe the state, also the local government, will follow
suit.
Some states are already doing very, very well in terms of the quality of road infrastructure they put up.
So, Mr. Dantata, we've got about 2 minutes left, and I'd like you to use that time to speak to us about the viability of seeing public-private partnership in financing road construction. We've already seen some of that happen, including some federal government programs where private companies can pick up road construction wherever their factories are in exchange for certain tax breaks and the likes. So, is this, from what you've seen from our, I don't know if I'll call it a test run, but from what we've been able to achieve so far, do you think that this is truly the future of financing our road construction?
Definitely, it has to be part of the future of it. In general, if you look at the PPP, it is quite a good idea, but the focus should not be on the contractor. The focus should be on the financing, because the contractors are there. Is the money that we need to look at. So I would like to see some of the big banks in Nigeria to look at these long-term projects to be able to finance such. In terms of the PPP for, in terms of the tax for road project, it is running very well. We have seen the Apapa Lagos project completed through Dangote Group. We are actually participating through the Dangote Group also for the construction of concrete paved road for the Kaduna Western Bypass. We are just starting the concrete today, and so the viability is there. However, the focus should be on who is bringing the money.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
This is Now Breakfast.
There was a conversation with Mr. Nasir Dantata, the CEO of Dantata and Zaway Construction. Nabila Usman there talking with him with regards to the construction sector and the built environment in the country. Stay tuned. The news headlines up next.
We are Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
Across Nigeria, Africa, and the world. This is Radio Now News.
The news headlines this morning on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. In local news appeal, court says Kano judgment controversy is a typo error. Osun judiciary workers begin indefinite strike. APC dissolves Rivers Excos, names caretaker committee members. Tinubu back in Abuja after G20 German summit. In business, the FAAC shares 906.9 billion naira October revenue to federal government, states and local government. On the foreign scene, Gaza, world's most dangerous place for children, says UNICEF. The sports Super Falcon star Echejini set to join Juventus. And that's the news headlines today on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Now breakfast continues. Thank you for listening. I am David Chiedu. Good morning.
This is Radio Now News.
The news that matters the most is the news that hits closest to home. If it touches your business, your family, your city, your schools, or your safety, we've got you covered. Everything that affects you is our concern. So, we go beyond, getting all the facts and serving you news and information you can trust.
There was 10 million liters of fuel made available at some point, which was not made available at the time because obviously it had to be brought in.
They attacked this Gayo village, Keru, and the Takalafia village yesterday. It's one of the many attacks.
Radio Now, 95.3 FM Lagos. Beyond the news.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations. Let's go beyond the news. Let's talk facts.
First and foremost, the government will never kowtow to the threat of any group to give it conditions.
Let's discuss your opinion.
The politicians in Nigeria don't understand the principle of politics.
The day's biggest news stories.
IPOB has been covered in themselves in glory. There is nothing special about them. It's like a witch cried at night and the child died falling money.
This is the news review on Now Breakfast.
Good morning once again and welcome to the news review. Today, Thursday, the 23rd of November, 2023. And I am David Chiedu. We're getting into the stories firsthand, delving into it head first. But of course, you can be part of it. The numbers are 091 35000 953 and 0901 111 1953. Over there on WhatsApp, we would love to get your thoughts as well. 0809 682 2595. I've got Iyengi Irimaha joining us this morning as our guest. Good morning, Iyengi.
Good morning.
All right, how are you doing today?
I'm okay. I'm good.
All right then. Lagos, Nigeria and beyond. Let's get through the stories together. I'm going to start with the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, where the headline there reads, as appeal court insists on Governor Yusuf sack admits errors in certified judgment. The riders underneath that protest rocks Kano. NPP approaches Supreme Court, rejects request for CTC retrieval. And it gets interesting. Judgment read in court, more important. APC and contradictory verdict embarrassing and scandalous. Ududu says, Falano says. Now, you know the story, and you understand how it started, and you also saw what happened in Kano yesterday, with citizens essentially coming out to express their displeasure and dissatisfaction over the recent development with regards to the Court of Appeal and the on-sitting, or if you like, sacking of the Kano State Governor. Then the interesting part, the contradictions, if you like, the hogwashing with the certified true copy, totally throwing throwing the entire case up in the air, more like, and I'm saying that tongue in cheek at this point in time. Yingi, how did that hit you? How did that hit you? When all of these developments started.
First of all,
I can barely hear you. Can you say that again?
Okay. I said Kano State, the things that happen in Kano State doesn't shock me at all. I'm not shocked by this. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, because, we've had lots of controversial things happening in Kano when it comes to our elections. Remember in 2015, where the rep was killed, or his family house was burned down, or nothing happened to that particular case. So with Kano, you kind of leave your mind open for anything. And I think that it's not, first of all, it's not shocking that this error was made. But my problem is that I don't understand why they know how volatile Kano State can be. So when you're dealing with a volatile state, a political volatile state like Kano, you just have to be very, very careful. So nothing is said or nothing is done that can incite people to take to the streets and, begin to do things that can destabilize the state. So the clerical error that they're talking about, I don't know how these things work, but it's such a huge error that can destabilize the state. And I don't think that it was an error. I think that it's maybe the same thing that returning officer tried to do in Adamawa State, where he just announced that Binani had won the elections, and maybe he was hoping that after the announcement, something will happen the Nigerian way, and the announcement he made will be sacrosanct at the end of the day. So it's hard for me to believe that something this huge can be, pointed down to just a clerical error. I don't think I think somebody was trying to be shady at some point, and I think that it's just part of the political play that they are, just trying to see how they can cut corners to, get the verdict that they're actually looking for, because it's such a huge error, and that error can actually cause issues, can actually, destabilize the state, can destabilize, once Kano is shaking, every other state, every other thing it can have very, very bad rippling effect. So I don't know what was at play. And I think that the Kano State governor, the sitting governor right now, I don't know what his relationship with Mr. Kwankwaso is at this point in time. Mr. Kwankwaso is kind of silent, but his movement, the Kwankwasia movement, is not silent. Obviously, they are taking to the street, or they were trying to take to the street before they were dispersed. And you know how it is for political structure. The sitting governor, it doesn't matter if Kwankwaso is with or is not with him. The sitting governor has access to resources that can keep the structure, whatever structure brought him into power. So I'm hoping that Mr. Kwankwaso can speak so that everybody, I think he still has some certain level of influence over the Kwankwasia movement. And we know that it was the Kwankwasia movement that made the Kano State governor win his election at the first instance during the election. So I'm hoping that Kwankwaso can say something so everybody can just calm down and, watch the judiciary correct their errors, and then probably we can move to the Supreme Court and see what the Supreme Court says about the elections.
Absolutely, that's what we're all waiting for right now, because the parties involved at this point in time need to do themselves a solid and go to the Supreme Court to seek proper interpretation, because as it is right now, these corrections cannot exactly be entertained by the appeal court, who has become which has become sui generis, as the case is at this point in time. This contradictions are quite a serious one. Go on.
This is why I stand with the former President Goodluck Jonathan, when he says we must ensure that our elections are concluded at the polling units. It's very, very important.
Which also in a manner of speaking, has been backed up by the statement from former President Olusegun Obasanjo over 48 hours ago.
Exactly, because there's so much that can go wrong. Once almost all our elections, we are debating it in court. There's this error that we can't even explain where it is coming from. So we need to have secure elections where we know for certain this person has won, this person has lost, and then people also need to trust the system enough to accept when they lose elections rather than going to court to argue. And sometimes they have valid arguing points, but sometimes they might not necessarily have. Maybe they are looking for the Hope Uzodimma pathway to victory. So I just believe that this should be our talking point. This should be our standpoint from now. Let's ensure that the elections are so secure that we don't need to the court doesn't need to determine outcomes of elections anymore, but we, the voters, determine outcomes of election on the election day.
It's quite worrying, really, seeing the situation, and I was particularly gutted for the people of Kano. I mean, the appeal courts, I'm not a lawyer, but I've heard from a few lawyers, and they seem to agree in accord that the appeal court has absolutely no right to alter any correction on the Kano governorship judgment that he delivered, because they have stamped and signed the document and their deadline had elapsed. And so when you look at it, broad strokes, you cannot help but make speculations of some funny business going on, because exactly. The lines are there. It's right there, in plain sight. But anyway, like I said earlier, or like we us both have said, let's wait for what happens with all the parties involved, all the persons of interest going to the Supreme Court and seeing where this takes us. Let's go on to the Guardian newspaper, but before that, let's have your thoughts. The numbers are 091 35000 953, 0901 111 1953, and on WhatsApp 0809 682 2595. I'm still gonna keep asking the question as to whether or not the tribunals and the courts generally, the appeal and Supreme Court and all of that, interfering in our elections are really contributing to strengthening our democracy, or are they actually, if suffice it to use the word, making it regress, or quote and unquote polluting it? Inge, you want to throw your thoughts in there?
Yeah, I think that the way the courts can help is your judgment should strengthen and not confuse and not open up loopholes to weaken the system. We are seeing that some judgments are weakening, some judgments are contradicting each other, and it is actually a very bad sign. The judgment should be able to strengthen, should be able to help INEC, should be able to help the process, strengthen the process, and not weaken the process. Because till today, I don't understand how Mr. Hope Uzodimma became governor in the last election. I don't understand the process that removed Emeka Ihedioha and then took the fourth person as governor. So those are the issues that I think the judiciary is causing, because the ruling should be able to, shaping, strengthening, but we don't see that strengthening. We don't see that legal strengthening from the courts. We just see a case of confusion like what we have now. It's actually not very good, and I think that the people within the legal space are very, very embarrassed by this.
Right on. Uche is joining us this morning. Hi, Uche. Good morning and welcome to the News Review.
Hello. Thank you, David. And your guest, I remember her name.
Iyengi.
Iyengi, exactly. Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning.
I think we are at a very critical juncture in our nation's vote. And the judiciary, unfortunately, that should be our source of pride, has become a very big source of embarrassment to this country. I don't know if you remember, during the presidential election tribunal, I think the judgment of the Supreme Court, or was it the tribunal, I can't remember which of them, where a certified true copy was requested, and it happened to have been printed on the letter-headed paper of the president's legal team, right? I think it was Wale Olanipekun Chambers or the defense team of Mr. President Tinubu. And they profiled all manner of explanations and just waved it aside like, oh, it's just a clerical mistake, Now we're seeing something quite similar to that being dismissed as a clerical mistake with the Kano State Election Tribunal. And their appeal court judgment for Kano State. And you see, these things are beyond mere mistakes. I don't think at this level we should be grappling with little administrative errors like this. I have a feeling that there is more than meets the eye. And it is a big source of embarrassment, especially coming at a time where some of the judgments that have been coming from the court these days have been kind of weird. When you look at them and you place them side by side with common sense, even when you place them side by side with legal precedents, you would notice that it's just not hitting the right nerve. And we have a lot of reasons to doubt, and they are increasing and compounding the problems that we are having with doubting the integrity of the judiciary. Honestly, I feel this is the worst period the judiciary we have experienced with the judiciary in Nigeria, especially this current Chief Justice Kayode Ariwola. I had very, very high hopes, very high expectations of him. But to be very honest, he has totally embarrassed this country. The judiciary under him has lost its mind. The judiciary under him has lost track. They have lost focus. I don't really know what to say. If you say they've been pocketed by the executive, I think that would be an understatement. Look at the appointment of judges at the High Court. It's been mired in all manner of controversies, from the children of Supreme Court justices down to children of prominent people and former justices and politicians. It is just a total mess. And the judiciary is one place where you should never have doubts about integrity. Like, it is one place legislators, you can doubt the executive. These are called politicians. But when it comes to interpreting the law, there should be very, very little margin
for errors.
Yeah, but in this case, it is absolutely the opposite. And it is so, I mean, the fact that these things are happening, Nigerians are taking it coolly. I think we've matured to the point where, I don't know if I would say the word is maturity, or people have just disconnected totally and left the country to go whichever way it wants to go. Everybody is sort of facing their front. You know the way we say it in Nigeria, face your front. Everybody is minding their business now. And to be very honest, these are the telltale signs of what happens before a state becomes a failed state. It's almost like a right situation. People are sort of writing off the state.
Uche. All right. Thank you very much, Uche. We appreciate your thoughts, but John has been waiting. He's been very patient. Thank you very much. Hello, John. Good morning. Sorry we kept you on the line for longer than normal. All right then, John.
No problem. One of the things that I observe from what's happening in Kano is that Nigerians continue to, continue to lengthen the rope that they give their constituted authority. I mean, you make an error in procurement. The governor comes and tells us that it was an error in procurement, that we should not worry, it was an error that what was stated. And you make an error in judgment. And like I said yesterday, if these little errors for major activities are taking place, what's happening to the little guy who is erroneously in prison? So that's why people remain in detention for years. If you go on any prison outreach, people will tell you the flimsiest reasons why they are in jail.
Well, I've heard stories, shocking ones.
5 years. And people are making mistakes and telling us it's typographical error. So how do we know that people are rotting in jail for actual genuine reasons? The entire system of our government, not just the judiciary, the executive, the legislature, the entire system of our government needs to be taken out and overhauled. A complete overhauling of our entire governmental system is needed, because Nigerians continue to give these people a long rope, and they keep thinking it's because Nigerians are docile or Nigerians are uninterested. Look, I have a friend from Haiti, and when he describes to me the level of anarchy that Haiti has been subjected to in the last 3 years, I fear. We are talking about where street gangs take over governmental functions. Let's not even talk about places like Libya, where complete breakdown. We all lived through what Somalia went through, and these were the telltale signs of such activities. When people no longer can trust their politicians, they can no longer trust their legislator, they can no longer trust their judiciary, then people will resort to self-help. So when our people in government, I don't know how they sleep at night when things like this happen. I don't know how most of them, their children are abroad, their families are abroad, because it's almost as if they have a timetable that they know of, that the day that the thing with the trumpet will sound, and they just get into their private jet and leave the rest of us to wallow like crabs in a jar. So I am appealing this morning to Nigerians. Begin to hold your government institutions to account. Not just sit down and take all this rubbish and do nothing about it. Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, then. Thank you very much. John, 091 35,000 953 0901 111 1953. Ingi, you want to react to what John has said? I mean, when we want to talk about the indicators or the harbingers, if you like, of a failed state, you're talking about a government's inability to govern its populace, and to maintain political power, law enforcement, and even the civil society, which the lack of it therein could lead to near anarchy in the state. You want to weigh in? Put your thoughts on there?
Yeah. While he was talking, I think I just realized how there is a big separation between us citizens and the political class, whether it's just the political players, the power brokers, or those ones that are in the legislative, executive, and the
judiciary.
What do you call it? That one, judiciary. So it seems they are playing for themselves, and we are just outside, rambling, and our rambling don't get to them because there's nothing that we say that is actually making them turn the leadership style or whatever they are doing to suit or to fix certain things in Nigeria. So apologies. Let me pause your thoughts there. Please don't lose that train of thought. Dr. Paul is with us this morning. Good morning, Dr. Paul.
Again.
Yes.
Yeah, Nengi.
Morning, Dr. Paul.
If the situation in Kano is not carefully managed, we are going to witness unimaginable and unthinkable situation. Will I say the lack of competence? A whole article is telling me clerical errors. But when you are pronouncing the judgment, nothing like clerical error in your judgment. It is quite unfortunate. I want this type of democracy, judicial democracy we are practicing. 1979 of Awolowo versus Shagari to come up. And the man, the maestro himself, mathematician Tikobi, was called before the tribunal. He told us to turn the question. When Awolowo claimed they won the election. He said we have the worst election in the country. So I don't want to go on because any country they lead, the judiciary is in politics. I repeat, any country the judiciary, that country is a problem. And we cannot drop out that the decision in this country is not compromised. Honestly, you are supposed to have APC. I'm not of the school that when they say, if you go your way, you pay the decision. If you go there, you say you're corrupt. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I am talking about, how is it that every election, 3% will start on it and decide who win the election? What is the first time spending humongous and prodigious amount of money conducting the election? Every primary court will decide with the primary. Governor will go there, court will say, this person will know me. Because people that's what that is after voting, throw away 3 mouths, just give. I don't want to use offensive words. The candidate. That is why he lost the election. But he was not properly chosen by. What's the duty of INEC? Look at what's happening in Jos. Go to Ebony. The same thing. This is not issue of what's good for the Ghana Assembly. what was is good for Guinea now is good for Uganda, because if they lose the Kano to APC, definitely we go to PDP. Then we will do this, we stop from this player. These people disturbing this country. Maybe apart from that, let me speak so simple on Tinubu's comment on Germany. I don't like the glorious prayer for anybody. This glorious prayer of him that he need nothing. Telling me when he ran Lagos zero. Telling me without the Lagos that develop everything about this all Lagos. He forgot that it's the president of Nigeria now. You remove subsidy that's causing a serious service for Nigerian changes, and you have nothing to remedy the situation. You are never entered Guinness Book of Records. I know where you are never entered Guinness Book of Records, because if I say you will not be happy with me. It is quite unfortunate. You can do that. Look at what Buhari said, telling you under the Nigeria is well secured, blah blah blah. Because this have seen that the match today is not doing well. If Tinubu, when he took over the government, decided to throw Buhari 8 years as the president, all these things will not be there. They're all of them are the same. Just here and there, nothing you can think of. Yes, went to Germany on surface. Yes, it's okay. Let us see the reality. Let us see the reality.
All right.
If we can solve the power problem in Nigeria, it's okay. You have done well.
Okay,
but I don't praise you because what you're going to do. That's what you say you are going to do. I don't praise you. I don't like you for anything. I don't need to like you as president. If you do the better, I commend you. That is me.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Paul. For if you're wondering what the whole buzz around the Guinness World Record is, it stems from Mr. President's comments while he was in Germany for that event, that business forum, where he said something along the lines of his exploits, warranting or paving the way for him, for his emergence as president, and that he deserves to be listed in the Guinness World Records. And that just got Nigerians, talking.
He knows how to get Nigerians talking to distract us.
You can go on with your thoughts. Go on.
So I'm just saying that there's this very strong separation from our reality as Nigerians, what we expect. And what we expect isn't unconstitutional. We expect the government to be sensitive to our needs, security, welfare. Security can border around the legal issues. How many of us have access or can just access legal services in Nigeria? So security, welfare of citizens, paramount, but it seems like the political class, the leadership, that is not what they are concerned with or concerned about. So there's nothing that they have been doing, or there's no laws they've been making. There's nothing that has actually touched on the critical issues that Nigerians are concerned about. So you see, people are kind of tired. Some people are tired. Some people want to survive day to day. They're not interested in these conversations anymore. The political conversation was deepened before this election. And then the outcome of the election was very, very tapping for so many people. So people just are tired because it's like nothing can be better. The level of despondency is deepening day by day. So I think that it was so bad that people were even cutting the idea of military coups in Nigeria. And I keep saying that once citizens get so dissatisfied that they are looking at the military to save, it's actually these things that actually give the military the idea. So the government needs to start waking up. They need to start being more sensitive to the plight of Nigerians and the need of Nigerians, so that they can start cutting back our support. In part of your political party is not actually the support of Nigerians. Your political party members support you because they get direct benefits from your party or from your leadership. The rest of Nigeria is, the support is ebbing away. Anything can happen, and it's a dangerous point for us here. Niger Republic, there was a coup and everything has settled down. The government that took over with military powers, everybody is accepting them right now. ECOWAS is accepting them as the true leadership of Niger Republic. So these are very, very bad signs, and the government, they need to start thinking about how to fix the country. All arms of government, I think, have they have failed at this point. That is why people can openly say, oh, Nigeria is a failed state. Because which arm of government is actually delivering the goods to Nigerian people? None, not the judiciary, not the executive, not the legislative arm. So they are actually generally failing Nigeria. That's the perception. They might not be failing, but the perception is that they are failing and they need to fix it.
All right, let's go to some other local politics. So let's shift attention from Kano State to Rivers State. But of course, we will still love to get your thoughts. 091350953, 0901 and on WhatsApp 080968229595. We are going to take your messages very, very shortly, but not before this next conversation. So we're hearing that Amaechi, that is the former transportation minister, Mr. Rotimi Amaechi, has suffered another setback because the National Working Committee of the APC has dissolved the state's executive committees at the party at all levels. Now, word on the streets, the NYC is constituted of that's the constituted caretaker committee that is made up majorly of folks who, if you like, are beneficiaries of the former administration headed by the current FCT minister. Iyengi, your thoughts on this?
I think the dynamics of Rivers State it's very confusing for people who are not in Rivers State to understand how complex the matter is, and it's not just from this election. It's, I think, from the 2015 election and the things that happened between I think Governor Amaechi at the time and President Goodluck Jonathan at the time that caused all of these cracks and all of these divisions, and of course made Governor Wike to seem like the savior at the time, because he was the only person that could actually challenge Amaechi at the time and win Rivers State away from APC back to PDP. So those things have been playing out up until this very moment. And I think that the way Governor Wike managed his elections, managed the 2023 elections, he did not come out at any point in time before the election to openly endorse any candidate, although it was obvious that he supported President Tinubu, but he did not endorse any candidate. So it confused the political class and it confused people in Rivers State to a large extent. And then when the president won Rivers State, the Governor Wike was blamed. He was blamed. Even APC people blamed him. APC people were complaining. I know that Magnus Abe, who is an SDP, is it SDP? Magnus Abe is an SDP or something, one of those parties, but he is a Tinubu person. Everybody knows he's a Tinubu person. Magnus Abe was complaining about the outcome of the elections. Even during the elections, Amaechi complained about the elections. So it was almost as if Governor Wike was held responsible for whatever happened in Rivers State, and also held responsible for the president winning Rivers State. So it caused cracks in APC, and somehow Governor Wike is somehow like the leader of APC in Rivers State, and it's also reducing the influence that Amaechi has. His influence, of course, in Rivers State has dwindled over time, even with him being the Minister for Works or at the federal level and being very, very, big in Abuja. His political influence was dwindling in Rivers State, and then for now it's completely gone because Governor Wike or the FCT minister is of APC in Rivers State, because there's contention between them. Long line of contention who has the bigger structure and who doesn't, where Governor Wike is almost 50 and the PDP in River State. And you know how it goes in River State. It's a very, for people like us, it's very disturbing. We would like, some form of stability in River State, and this can cause cracks that criminals will take advantage of.
Right. Okay, Ingi. Thank you very much for that. 1091350953. Let's go to your message. This one here is from Kalu. He says, all these conflicting judgments by the appeal court are embarrassing. They claim that it was a typo error that is correctable, but see the havoc it is causing now. Kano is boiling and the youth refuse to leave the streets until Governor Yusuf is validated. We don't need this now. Okay. That is it for the news review this morning. Ingi, I'd like to say thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you.
Right. That's the news review. My name is David Chiedu, and Aramide is going to be letting you know the latest in the world of business very shortly. That will be on Business Now. In the meantime, I'm going to go and take myself a very strong cup of coffee or something for the next couple of minutes so I can keep my eyes open. Right. Good morning. Stay close. It is Now Breakfast on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm a trader operating a chain of supermarkets. I engage in
UBA 0.24%, FBN Holdings 4.0%, and the NGX All Share Index declined by 0.09%. So across frontier African markets, the Egyptian index posted a 1.03% advance, while the Kenya stock market roared by 1.09% on earnings announcements by big banks, as well as the central bank reining in banks' activities in the currency market, which stopped the free fall of the Kenyan shillings against the dollar. Now, here in West Africa, the regional exchange in Abidjan was slightly better by 0.05%, while the Ghana stock market remain unchanged. However, if we look at the Southern African region, we've got the Zimbabwe stock market that slumped yesterday by 0.59%, while the JSE in South Africa bounced upwards with a 0.44% gain. So we're back on Broad Street. Overnight lending rates among commercial banks here in Nigeria increased by 133 basis points to 25.2%, despite the inflow from FGN coupon payment of 9.44 billion naira. And the NTB secondary market traded quietly as participants shifted focus to Wednesday's primary auction, where investors bought dated papers that were worth 562 billion naira, with the highest allotment of 540 billion naira going into the 364-day paper. And the FGN bond secondary market traded quietly. The average yield closed flat at 15.9%. So foreign exchange, the naira depreciated for the second session at the official window by 1.1% to 840 naira 53 kobo against the US dollar at the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market. Let's quickly look at oil prices, which fell 1% in early trading on Thursday, extending losses from the previous session after OPEC Plus postponed a ministerial meeting, stoking views the producers might cut output less than earlier anticipated. So Brent futures fell 81 cents or 1% to $81.15 a barrel after falling as much as 4% on Wednesday. US West Texas Intermediate crude dipped 72 cents or 0.9% to $76.40 a barrel after declining as much as 5% in the previous session, and trade was expected to remain muted due to the Thanksgiving holiday in the United States. In a surprise move, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and Allies, including Russia, delayed to November 30 a ministerial meeting where they were expected to discuss oil output cuts, and producers were struggling to agree on output levels and hence possible reductions ahead of the meeting originally set for November 26. That's what the OPEC Plus sources said. Now, 3 OPEC Plus sources, however, said this was linked to African countries, which are smaller producers in the group, which eased investors' concerns. And the questions over OPEC Plus supply comes as data showed U.S. crude stocks jumped by 8.7 million barrels last week, which was much more than 1.16 million build that analysts had expected. Well, that's the package on Business Now this Thursday, the 23rd. Thanks for listening. I am Aramide Folorunshaw. It's bye for now.
This is 95.3 Business Now.
Every second and every minute, something new happens. The news breaks.
And angry mob decided to bomb.
Everyone wants to share it, but not everyone wants to dig deep. Now that's where we come in. We bring you the news and go beyond with in-depth conversations and analysis with stakeholders.
I honestly think that the federal government on its own part has broken.
If voters or more people want to be part of that decision-making process, they need to be part of it.
This is not a good measure of development anyways. We are not there yet.
We need to counter the narrative of the fact that our vote does not count. If your vote does not count.
We bring you the story within the story, and that's what makes us tick. We are Radio Now